keep denying that Labour will put up taxes if they win the next election. But isn't that exactly what you plan to do with the death tax, which your Shadow Health Secretary has proposed?
Well, it's interesting, William, isn't it, that it's the Shadow Health Secretary that came out with this idea, not the Shadow Chancellor. I thought it was you that was responsible for taxation, Ed Balls.
Look, it's not the policy of the Labour Party to have a tax on death. And we had our National Policy Forum a couple of weeks ago in Milton Keynes where this wasn't part of the conclusions. And there's obviously some history to this because there were discussions about these things some years ago. I think at that time, Andrew Lansley used to be somebody who gave the impression he might be in favour of it alongside Andy, but that all fell apart, and I think it's off the agenda.
Well, it's clearly on Andy's agenda, otherwise he wouldn't have raised it again. Well,
it's not our policy, and that's where we are.
And it's going to remain not your policy?
Yeah, well, as I said...
Because it's getting a lot of comment today, isn't it?
Well, it was on the front page of the Telegraph. But I guess Oliver Letwin's proposal to have a flat tax has had a lot of comment today as well, although we know on that one the Chancellor is very much in favour of it, George Osborne, so that has rather more chance of being in the first budget after the election. I don't know, William, are you a fan of flat taxes?
No, well, that's not relevant to this discussion.
No, but I was just asking if you were a fan of flat taxes.
No, I'm not, but that's not really the point. It's not just Andy Burnham, it's Liz Kendall as well who's on board with this idea for death tax. It doesn't seem like it's an isolated thing to me and to most of my friends I've been talking to about that.
Right. Well, I'm just telling you, it's not our policy.
Have you talked to Andy Burnham about this in the last 24 hours?
No.
No?
No.
I find that difficult to believe.
No, I haven't.
But when I say have you talked to him about it, have you shouted at him about it?
No. But Andy's officers themselves were explaining overnight that it's not the policy of the Labour Party. Before the last election in 2010, it was something that Andy and Andrew Lansley talked about to see whether there could be a consensus, and it fell apart. And as I said, at our policy forum 2 weeks ago, it was not only not concluded, it wasn't even raised. Now, I don't know what William and his friends spend their time talking about. I'm very surprised that you and your friend having long. I mean, who are these friends, William?
My friends.
Where are you chatting about it? In the pub?
Well, I know the student union, although about this time of year.
But, student unions have changed since my time.
And are you a Labour or a Conservative supporter, William?
I'm not going to tell you who I support.
Okay. I'm a Labour supporter. I'm a Labour supporter, and I don't believe in the death tax. Is that right?
I think. I mean, it just sounds like more ideas to put taxes up, which doesn't me. But
I just said to you, it's not our policy.
But you must
In fact, we want to cut taxes. We'd like to have the 10p tax rate reintroduced.
Let's level with each other. When you first heard this, when some journalists phoned you up about this last night, you must have been spitting blood, because we all know in the year before an election, you need to have iron discipline within a party. When you have a senior shadow cabinet minister coming out with this sort of thing, it's the last thing the Labour Party needs, isn't it? Be honest.
It was something which was discussed some years ago, and it's obviously right that we make sure we reform the social care system. We want to integrate social care into the National Health Service. But the question which you're asking is it the policy of Labour to have a death tax? Now, William thinks it is, even though I've told him 4 times it's not. So I'll say it a 5th time. It's not a policy.
It's not your policy, but you admit that you weren't very pleased when you heard about this.
To be honest, I was interested to see these proposals from the Bank of England on bank bonus clawback.
We might come on to that. That's something
and I had a call last night to say that John Humphreys had a package about this, and he wanted to do an interview with me at 8:10. So I spent a couple of hours reading past speeches by people from the Prudential Regulatory Authority about bank bonuses and clawbacks and the Banking Commission and the European Union. And well, that's what you have to do in our job. And it was at about 11 last night. So my focus was on that rather than on the front page of the Telegraph, because I knew it wasn't our policy.